Yeah, I was just saying, like, there's so many Canadians on this show. The show should be called Maple Talk.
Maple Talk.
Yeah, and
that's a good name.
This episode, we got another damn Canadian here, Cory.
Shady Canadians.
Shady Canadians. Cory is a comedian / electrician.
Yes.
Look, I'm a comedian, so I know a lot of comedians. So I'm not impressed by comedians, right? I think they're lame. I think it's cliche, weak, and they all have rabies. But electrician, that is something else.
That's something, a whole nother level of
that's
respectability.
Yeah, it's fucking respect.
So
tell me, I know there's a plumber category on Pornhub. What about electricians in real life?
I don't know.
What do you mean you don't know? Have you been offered?
One time I did a service call with this lady, and she had 2 kids, and her breaker for her oven kept flicking off. Mm-hmm. So she was trying to make like a dinner, like some fancy dinner.
Yeah.
So I went over there, and she was all upset and hysterical. Yeah. Uh-huh. I went over and I said, "Okay, your breaker's no good." So I had to replace the breaker. It was maybe like half an hour. It wasn't very long, 25 minutes or something.
Yeah.
And then she was super, super
thirsty,
really touchy, and oh my God, like she kept touching my shoulders, and oh, you've really helped us out.
Yeah,
I'll get your card, and
Is she hot?
She was moderate. She was medium.
You can hit it.
What's that?
Like you can hit
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was not out of the realm of possibility.
You're trapped in the cave. You're like,
if things were tough and it was a lonely month, I could take a drive by there.
But you weren't. You
check up on her lights. Yeah. And I could have probably worked my way into some kind of
light her fire.
I could have lit her fire, lit her oven anyway.
Did you light her oven?
I didn't, but I could have. Yeah.
Well, no. I mean, just like literal, not.
No, yeah, it worked.
Everything. Oh, it worked.
Yeah, her.
Was she disappointed that
I don't know. I bailed out of there.
The sparks.
You know what? Maybe I could have stayed around, but I had a girlfriend, so I had to get out of there and go back to. It was like a Friday too. It was like It was like Friday afternoon. So.
But the thing is, like, it's weird that you say you had a girlfriend. Like, if something happened, right? How would she find out?
She wouldn't.
That's the thing I keep thinking about. Like, how? So those people who got caught cheating, like, how fucking dumb do they have to be, or how, like, I
think if it's a one-time thing, you probably don't get caught. But what happens is people let it drag on into ongoing affairs.
Yeah.
I had a buddy of mine back in Canada. He had a wife and kids, and he cheated all the time. But he'd have like 3 different cell phones going, and like it would get too convoluted, and he'd get too deeply involved with the person that the affair person, whatever you call that, third person,
the third,
and then they would get involved, right? And then that whore girl would want more of his time, and then it would just get too. If it's like a one-time thing, you probably won't get caught, but you need to cut it after that one, because I've been the other guy lots of times.
Lots of times.
Unknowingly, but yeah.
What do you mean unknowingly?
Well, like...
something's up.
No, that's not true. I remember I met a girl and I had a one-night stand with a girl in a club.
Yeah.
I went back to her. It was a really nice-looking girl. And
I
was thinking, this is pretty easy.
Yeah.
It's easier than it should be. And then the next day, I woke up.
Easier than it should be.
And then I left my watch there at her house. And I just got out of there because I had to get to work in the morning. I wasn't thinking. And then later that day, I'm like, it was a really expensive watch. And I said... I texted her later that day. I said, "Hey, I need that watch back."
Yeah.
No reply.
Yeah.
Texted her like I texted her like
You're
10
like,
times. Like, what the fuck is going on? Yeah. And then it dawned on me. I'm like, she has a husband, and I wasn't supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Because she's nothing. Like, why wouldn't you text back and say, "Okay, here's your watch. I'll give it back to you." But nothing.
Yeah.
And then I probably saw her about 6 months later. I forgot about the watch. I got sick of it, and it was in a high rise. It wasn't like I could just go knock on her door and get it. She lived in like a secure building like this. So I'm like, I don't know how to get in touch with this person anymore if they're ignoring me. So about 6 months later, I saw her in a grocery store. Yeah. And I'm like, "Hey, my watch." And she was, "Oh, okay." I said, "Look, I'm gonna raise some shit. I want my watch." Yeah. And she goes, "I'm so sorry. I'll get it back to you." She goes, "I'm married, and my husband came home, and I couldn't be answering any texts. I just deleted your number." And
is that in America?
That was in Canada. That was in Toronto.
So sorry. That's pretty fits that's the thing. I feel a little bit better because you have an accent. Like what crushes me is the previous two Canadian guests I have. I think you probably know both of them. You know, one is Trey, one is Rishi. You know, this Indian guy from Montreal.
Okay.
Indian Canadian. They have like zero accent. They just sounds like some surfer dude from Santa Monica. So I almost feel like cheating, but at least you have an accent.
I'll do what I can. I'll give you what I have.
That's why, because you only been here for 5 years.
That's right. Yeah, I guess so. I don't think I'll ever get rid of it. Like I don't think I have one, but other people.
Oh, you have a thick ass one.
And so I won't ever probably rid myself of it. Not that I want to or care to, but
it's interesting because a lot of people, most of the time I can't tell if somebody's Canadian unless they tell me.
Okay.
But you like you have this accent, but sometimes I don't know if it's an accent.
People think I'm Irish and Scottish. I get.
Yeah, you always sound like you're amused.
Yeah.
By everything. Yeah. Just get away from me like that.
I don't. What is it?
Like you're always amused and annoyed at the same time. Like the tone.
I get it.
So I wasn't sure if that's your comedic style or your accent.
Probably just my personality.
Oh yeah.
I think.
You're always annoyed and amused at the same time.
Well, yeah, I don't know. I kind of like. Yeah, I roll my eyes at a lot of things. I'm like, what is this?
What is the most recent thing that made you roll your eyes? Your Rolodex of hate.
Well, like what I was talking about tonight earlier. Mm-hmm. When the girl when I was paying my electrical bill, my electric bill, this hot girl comes up and she wants to butt in line.
Yeah.
Like I've been waiting for 20 minutes. So is everybody else. And she thinks that she's just, I'm late for work. I want to go. I'm like, fuck, get lost. Like, what are you, crazy? Why would you think like I would never? Whenever my hotness, whenever I was the best looking in life, like 22, I would never think I could walk into a room and butt in line. But in her mind, she thought like this will probably happen. Mm-hmm. You know.
So you're pretty annoyed by that.
Well, I'm shocked. I think it's kind of surprised. Like, there you go. I feel like it was more surprised. Like, why would you think anybody would let you just cut in?
Because you worked time after time.
Yeah, you're right. It does.
Yeah.
But I've never been like a young, beautiful girl, so I don't know what that reality is, right? But
I mean, I'm not hard enough to have that kind of experience. But I know every time when I travel and I can't put my suitcase, in the place where they take the luggage, above you in the plane. I usually if I ask some guy to help me, they will always help me.
Sure.
Or even if
you're a young, pretty girl. Like you're gonna get
I'm
those.
But I'm okay. Look, I'm like average looking or a little bit above average. Depends on
You're
what
above
your king
average.
is.
You're above average.
You.
But I mean, there
I'm
are
above average. Certified by this Canadian dude.
For sure you are. For sure you are. Absolutely.
Yeah, but the thing is, to a point that I don't have to ask. It's just like I will look at that. I will look at my suitcase, and then I will just glance at a guy, and he will know.
He'll just jump up and do it.
Yeah.
Right.
So.
But then,
does that count?
Yeah. No, it does count. You're not lifting your suitcase, so it counts.
I can't because I can't. I literally.
But
can't
if you didn't
do
have to do it, then it counts because you got it done for you.
It's true. Yeah. If you're a guy, just fuck off. Just figure it out by yourself.
Yeah, like no one's gonna help.
Or you have to struggle for at least 30 seconds.
Like an old man, they'll help an old man, but you have to be on your deathbed before anyone's gonna help an old man. Like a man do it. Right?
Yeah. So I guess there's benefits like that. So
sure,
is your comedy all about
subtle
things that annoys you?
You know what? I've been thinking a lot about this. I tend to go out there and just tell funny stories, right? Act out a little funny story.
Yeah.
And sometimes I know what stories people laugh at, so I'll go out there and just tell them.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of getting bored of doing that.
Why?
Because there's no point to it.
No point of what? Comedy in general? Or
No,
just
I don't mean that. Like there's comedy, to be good at stand-up, there's two things. One, you got to make people laugh.
Of course.
But then I think once you've learned how to make people laugh consistently, I think the next level is to say things that are really interesting and
matters.
Yeah.
To some degree.
Right. And that maybe that you can talk about that not everybody else can talk about.
Yeah.
Right. So, and that's like another, and it's not necessarily any harder, but I think like my biggest, is it bad habit? Well, my biggest
Pet
fault.
peeve?
No, my biggest weakness with comedy is I'll go out there and try to make people laugh rather
People
than
pleaser.
Right, and that's kind of bullshit. Like,
So would
why
you
am I doing
you'd
that?
rather take a cheap laugh than a silent room but saying something that's never been said before, or
No,
rarely gets said
I would
before?
rather do the second,
You would rather do this, but you often do.
but I often do the first.
I think we
you
all,
but
do
it's
that
sort of
somehow.
like you get to a point and you're like, this is dumb. Like, I think once you know you can make people laugh a lot, you start saying, okay, now why? What
Is
am I
that why
doing?
is that why you comment on another comedian we talk about? You know, we saw his set someday, right?
Yeah.
And I told you, I think he's really funny. He's really consistent because he knows how to write a joke.
Yes.
But then your argument, you didn't seem too impressed. But is that what you're saying because he's only pleasing the audience?
No. I think I've just seen that comedian so many times that you get
Okay.
bored of that comedian.
Yeah.
It's like a song, right? Like you hear the same song so many times, you get
Yeah.
sick of that song.
But if you can take yourself out of that, you know.
Oh, if I could take myself out of it and then listen to that same person.
Yeah.
Like if I could erase my memory and
Yeah.
then listen to that person, I'd probably think that person was good.
Yeah.
But that's the problem we have when we do comedies. We hear the same people all the time.
The thing is, I can watch a Chris Rock bit for 50 times and still find it funny. Like to the level that I can recite word by word. Like I know what's the next word is gonna be. I still enjoy watching it.
Right.
Why-
That's
why
just
is
somebody
that?
you really like. That's all.
You think? I think is if you're really, really good, you can achieve
Well, maybe
that.
you're right. Maybe you're right.
You
He
know?
might be really, really good. And he's saying something that you probably really agree with,
That's another thing.
you know?
That's another thing. Do you rather want to say something that people don't agree with, but kind of thought-provoking? Or something just people can relate to?
I think for me, I'd rather just say things that are true for me and let other people, some people that are, someone that's a different demographic than I am might have no idea what I'm saying. Right?
With different demographic.
Well, sure.
No
like, say-
whites.
well, if you take like a 60-year-old guy
Yeah.
and he's talking about something in his life,
Yeah.
how's a 20-year-old girl going to really get that?
To some degree.
To some degree, yeah. Like, say you got a 60-year-old guy and he's talking about getting fired at work because he's old or
Yeah.
something. Like, I don't know how a 20-year-old girl could relate to, or a 20-year-old guy could relate to that. Maybe they could. I could be wrong.
Yeah.
Maybe if the comedian's that good, they can get it so that everybody understands it. But because we watch comedy a lot, so there's some comics, they'll talk about things that I just lose interest the second I hear them.
Okay,
and it's
so
not that
cliche.
they're not good. It's just that it doesn't relate to my life at all.
Cliche time. Like, what are the fucking topics that once either on an open mic or a show, somebody brought it up, you're like, roll your off the fuck again. I told you for me is when the male comics say, I was dating this girl and we were like having sex and she wanted me to choke her. And then I'm like,
Yeah.
I don't want to choke her.
Yeah.
I mean, Bill Burr has a really, really funny bit about it.
But he
then
probably did that bit a long time
years
ago.
And that bit is really funny, but now I can't
Yeah.
even count how many times I heard that.
Right. So you'll get people piggybacking off of that bit.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I guarantee
I'm not
you
saying
most-
they're stealing the bit. I'm just saying,
But
it's
they're
not
probably
a-
stealing the
yeah.
idea. And some of them maybe not, but he was the first guy to maybe. I bet you somebody said it before Bill Burr said it.
Like for me, I'm like, is it really that many girls who love to be choked? Like, I don't know anyone.
But see, that's the thing. Like, it could just be a story
Yeah.
too. That a young comic's like, oh, people like this kind
Yeah,
of
yeah,
story, and
yeah.
then they go tell it. Probably never even happened. To half those guys.
Another cliche story that I heard and I just roll my eyes is their friends say, hey, you got to do this drug or shroom or something.
Yeah.
And then they did way too much.
Right.
And then they just the next 4 hours
Overdose
I
stories.
just out of it. Should
Yeah.
it be a pussy and take half of that?
Yeah.
But I took all of it like a douche.
Yeah.
Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, it's a problem, right? Because it's the same fucking story, but you've heard
Yeah.
500 comics tell the same.
and
like,
then the other one's like, oh, I was just thinking about killing myself lately. That's another.
you hear that in the comedy world. There's some sad comedians out there, man.
Yeah, and then another one is So, I was on the Tinder date. That's actually fine because look, there's only so many things to talk about.
Right.
Day-to-day life, right?
Yeah.
You eat, you live, you fuck, you date.
Yeah.
You go to sleep.
Yeah, you do.
What else are you going to talk about?
You can run out of stuff.
So what are the cliches that you can you can even
the dating? What you just said. You know what the problem is? It's not even that. It's not the subject. It's that everybody has the same opinion on the subject.
And the punchline and how the joke, was structured.
It's funny how and the problem is if you watch enough comedy, you can see the punchlines coming.
Yes.
That's how you know when you're getting good at it. Because you're like, you listen to the comedy, like, I know how this is ending. I know exactly what's going to happen here. And that's when so
every time you're surprised by the left turn, that's how I know. Okay, this person's
right.
Good.
That's exactly what it is. Because when you've been doing comedy or watching a long time, and that comic still comes out, you have something unexpected. You're like, oh Jesus, that was good.
The Chappelle bit was pretty good in the Sticks and Stone.
Yeah.
When he talked about people who are complaining all the time. And they thought they were Trump supporters, and then they're them motherfuckers is you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's true.
Oh shit, that's something I didn't expect.
You don't see that one coming.
Yeah.
Right. See, it's easier to make normal people laugh because they don't think like comedians.
You don't go to
right. Well, they don't watch. They don't mind. Yeah, exactly. It's like that's why it's easy to make normal people laugh because they don't think like that. They don't have a punchline in their mind that they think is going to come out. Where you and I are like, okay, we know. It's almost like a game. Like you have a pretty good idea how that story is going to end.
Yeah.
But a normal person doesn't think like that. So they can go. That's why a normal person can go to a comedy club and it's easy to make them laugh because their mind isn't conditioned that way.
That's why open mics is so tough.
Yeah, that's right.
Because first of all, comedians are not paying attention to your set. They're thinking about when am I going to get picked, or thinking about their own set.
Absolutely.
Second of all, they might see you already, from other mics.
Yeah.
And then third is like.
And there's competition too and jealousy.
Really?
There's a little bit of that.
Okay, I don't think jealousy. Like I only got a little bit annoyed when I see somebody who's like really not funny but getting booked way more than me.
Yeah.
And I know I should not think about that. I just focus on my own shit, but it's human nature.
Yeah,
like,
of course it is. Of course it
that
is.
Person,
Yeah, anytime you think you're getting ripped off.
What do you mean ripped off?
Well, ripped off like I'm better than this person, but this person's getting more than I'm getting.
Yeah, maybe
that's
something he or she does that you didn't do.
Well, you could have blown the producer.
Come on.
Oh, I'm serious.
This is getting a spot in LA comedy scene. Like it's not worth it. I think it's worth it if you get a role in a movie, blow somebody.
Yeah, you gotta.
Folks, don't blow nobody for a spot on a comedy show. It's definitely not worth it.
No,
it's not worth it at all.
That's the problem with
maybe a hand job.
Yeah, exactly. It's all in moderation, I guess. Right?
Yeah.
It's.
So you're electrician.
Yes.
Like I said, you being an electrician is way more interesting for me than you being a comic.
Right.
Because you actually need to have some skills, okay, to be an electrician. You need to get a license and everything.
Yeah.
Respect, qualifications. So how did that work? How did you choose it?
I came out of high school and I was going to go to university, but I didn't know what I wanted to go into. Like I didn't know what career I was going for. And, university, it's a lot of money, right? And I said, well, I don't want to go and spend all this money and come out with nothing. And so at that time, there was becoming a real shortage of tradespeople, like electricians, plumbers, and
especially
the government
for Canada.
Yeah, and the government was subsidizing it, saying, "Well, basically, give you free schooling to just go."
Really?
So I said, "Well, why don't I just go do this?" And I said, "I'll take a 4-year apprenticeship, and when the 4 years is done, if I don't like it, I'll go to university. And by that time, I'll have a better idea what I want to do anyway." So I said, "I've got nothing to lose," so I did it, and I didn't like it. First, because you're working with grumpy old middle-aged men, and my wife's a bitch, and fucking this and that. And they're drinking and they're yelling at you because it's not like a politically correct society, like on a construction site.
Oh,
hey, you little faggot, go grab those wires, like fucking lazy little prick. And
but it's
like,
also kind of liberating.
It is. It totally. But when you're a kid getting yelled at, it's horrifying.
Okay,
you're like this sucks, and it's cold outside.
Man up.
Yeah. But what happened?
Yeah.
But what happened was once I started learning how to wire things up, maybe somebody like my friend's parents would call me and say, "Hey, can you put this light in our house?" And
Yeah.
I'd do it on a Saturday.
Yeah.
And they'd pay me like $100 cash. I'd be like, "Fuck, this is pretty good." Like,
Yeah. How old were you?
like 20.
That's
right?
pretty good.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying.
$100?
So by the time the apprenticeship was up and I wrote all my tests, you know, I started doing a lot of they call them side jobs, like weekend jobs. And,
Yeah.
you know, I was making a lot of money. I was making like $500-600 cash on like one day. And, you
Dang.
know, I was a kid, right? I'm not I wasn't accruing any student
You don't have
loan debt.
referrals or anything.
Yeah, and it was starting to build up. And I said, this is all. Once I got away from the companies and
Yeah.
having to work with the cranky older guys,
Yeah.
and I had enough skill to just do things on my own,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, this is good. And then by that point, a lot of my friends were coming out of university with their degrees.
Yeah.
Now I'm like 22, 23. And
Yeah.
none of them were finding jobs.
Yeah.
And they had debt.
What
And
kind of major did they take? Just like
like
economy,
business, BA.
English degree.
Yeah, English degree. A lot of them took BAs in
Yeah.
school, and but they weren't really doing much. Like they weren't. It wasn't really translating into anything. And then I said, you know what? Maybe I'll just I'm going to stay doing this for a little while.
Did you go to college?
I went and I became a stockbroker.
Oh shit.
Yeah. So, but I didn't actually go. I took a little bit of business
Yeah.
school, and then I just got out of it. I said I already knew almost all of it anyway.
Did you go to college at all? Finish a degree at
Well,
all?
no. So I went halfway through.
Yeah. Okay.
I went for like 2 years, and then I
You're
said,
one of those prodigies.
yeah.
you
But I
know,
just
college
said, well, but
dropout.
I already knew all my electrical work,
Yeah.
and just through reading books and stuff, I knew how to do investing on the market.
Yeah.
And so I said, this is a waste. I already know most of this stuff. So
Mm-hmm.
I got out. I bailed on it, and I took back then they called it the Canadian Securities Exam, CSC, Canadian Securities.
Security means selling securities.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like writing the bar exam.
Yeah.
Except probably not that hard.
Is it hard?
It was hard, but it wasn't that hard. I studied for it on my own and did really well.
Okay.
And then I worked for a stock brokerage company.
Pretty
But-
big one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But then that sort of fell apart because it was right at the time where the internet was coming around. You could start
What
buying.
year was that?
2000?
2000?
2001, maybe?
I think that's a .com, bubble.
Yeah, it was right during the bubble.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I invested money in the bubble. And I did well.
If you keep your money there.
Unbeknownst to me, because I just got lucky because everything was going up at the same
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So I did okay on personally, and then I said, "Well, I should just be a broker because I'm so smart." and then of course, what happened? Like that bubble burst. Y2K was done. Like a lot of it was predicated on the computers
Yeah.
not knowing how to roll back. and
Yeah.
all these .com companies were making all this stupid money.
Yeah.
And I just happened to have some money in there. So it went up, but that didn't mean I was smart enough to know why.
Yeah.
I just got lucky. And then 9/11 happened and the market
okay.
dropped. Like you had all these things. And then of course you could just start buying stocks online. You didn't even need a broker anymore. So
Robinhood was Robinhood.
it was
around?
way before Robinhood.
Like
but
Vanguard?
you could go like into
Fidelity.
your all of those. Well, those are mutual fund companies, but yeah, you could go like in Canada, I had the Royal Bank.
Yeah,
That's
okay.
a big. Like you could just go on their app. Even back then, you could just go on the computer. They never had apps on phones yet, but you could just buy your own stocks and trade them. You didn't need a broker anymore. So they
Okay.
were phased out.
Yeah.
Kind of like we were talking about realtors. How
Yeah.
realtors have still stood around. I don't
Because
know.
I used to be a
fucking
real
have
estate
any
agent.
idea.
I don't
I don't
no
know
idea.
how they're still around.
Look, let me tell you, it's like for me to be a realtor, and then I'm paying thousands of dollars to the
Brokerage firm.
association.
Yeah.
Not just brokerage firm. They take the cut of whatever which is another ripoff,
like
right?
your office.
Yeah,
and all
but
that.
I'm talking about called CAR, California Association of Realtors. You're paying the money to them to gain access to a database called MLS.
Yeah, the MLS listings.
And
Multiple services.
you own properties, so you know.
Yeah.
So all the listings information will be put on there. And now MLS all have IDX connected to Zillow, Trulia, Redfin. So most of the real, the properties is already there. But the only thing as a buyer who can really get is sometimes you don't know who the listing agent is. They will have a lot of agents, contact information attached to a property.
Yeah.
But you call them, but they're just somebody who advertised there. they're not representing the house.
Okay.
Sometimes if you're really looking to fine line, like a really small font, you will say, oh, this is the real listing agent.
Yeah.
Sometimes they don't even have a contact information. But on MLS, that information is really clear. So you're paying thousands of dollars every year just to get that information. And that's a little monopoly,
Yeah.
the hoarder of information that we have.
Right.
That kind of just keep this occupation still alive. And there are also a lot of contracts, attached to it, a lot of jargons.
Especially in California, it's so complicated.
Yeah, like you have like contingencies, all the kind of jargons. You might get lost, just like anything else. Right?
Yeah.
Like stock trading. Like
Yeah.
it's not that hard if you do some research.
No.
But all the terms can just really.
But you got
throw you
it's
off.
overly. Well, you must have seen The Big Short,
Yes.
right? With
yes.
all the
Great,
the
great
mortgage
movie.
brokers.
Is it
and-
Adam? Is it the same creator of Succession?
I don't know.
Will Ferrell's writing partner.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, it was. So
you watched The
was
Big
that
Short?
accurate to what you're experienced?
for what's that, stockbroker? You mean or
Yeah.
No, it wasn't as complicated as the real estate thing. Once the internet took over,
Yeah.
that industry was kind of gone because the whole idea between a stockbroker, like before, is
Information.
if you if you wanted to buy a company, so say you were a stock, say in the 80s,
Yeah.
you were old enough in the 80s to buy a stock.
Yeah.
Say you wanted to buy a stock like McDonald's.
Yeah.
Walmart, some blue chip stock, you would have to phone a stockbroker, like on your phone, and say, "Hey, I want to buy 200 shares of McDonald's,"
Yeah.
and then that guy would have to call the where they trade the stocks,
Yeah.
and he would take a commission. He would take like 3% to buy, and 3% to sell, and it didn't matter whether you made any money or not. So you had to pay a commission to get in and a commission to leave, right?
Yeah.
And then you couldn't. And the brokers didn't know the whole idea behind the stockbroker was that they knew more than you did.
Yeah.
They could call you up. Oh, hey, this stock's about to take off. Do you want? But that wasn't reality. They didn't know any more than anybody else. They just took a big cut of money for calling the exchange and making the trade. Well, so once the internet came around, they could just jump past the broker. The brokers were useless. They were just someone that took they were a middleman. So
Do you think it's wise for normal people who don't want to really dig into all the mumbo jumbos to just buy index fund?
yeah, S&P 500 or
If they don't want to study shit like
or
that
just
at
a
all.
mutual fund.
Yeah.
Couple
like
mutual
a Vanguard.
funds. Yeah, yeah.
So is that it's just buy VTI, VO?
Yeah, because they're the whole idea is they're diversified. So if one industry crashes, another's going up,
Yeah.
right? And it's safety. You don't make that much money on
Yeah.
it. You might make 4% a year, 5% a year.
I think the average is like 7% a year.
7% is
in the
not bad.
past
If you can get that,
years,
that's
yeah.
not bad. As long as you keep the money in year over year over year
Yeah,
over year.
don't fucking sell everything when it
You
crashes.
yeah. But it's funny because if you buy individual stocks, sometimes you can double it in 1 year. Sometimes you can make 50%.
Yeah,
in
but
a
when
year.
you lose, you lose.
But when
big
you
too.
lose, you could lose it all.
You'll lose everything.
You're right. And the average person doesn't have that time. Won't know which ones
The
to buy.
worst
And they'll-
is when you think you know something and then you put your money on it and you
Yeah.
don't know everything and you
Yeah.
really don't know enough.
No, you
That's,
don't. And the average person doesn't have the time to figure it out, right?
Did you make a lot of money on the stock market?
Yeah, I've done pretty good on it. I've also lost. Like I put my money into a company. When was this? We're in what, January? What month are we in now? January.
January.
Yeah. When in October I bought a stock. It's called Aurora Cannabis. It's a big company in
You
Canada.
put money in cannabis?
Well,
I think it's very risky to put money in a cannabis stock.
I bought it put a bunch of money into a stock at $6, and it was trading at 12 earlier this year.
Yeah.
Earlier,
It's doubled.
In 2019, it was at 12. Well, it dropped down to 6. And I said, Jesus, 6. This is great. Like
Yeah.
it's not going to go much lower. I bought a bunch at 6.
Buy low, sell
Now it's
high.
down to like 3.
There's a term for funds that's like so cheap, under $10 per share. I forgot what's the term for it.
There's stocks called penny stocks.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
what it's called.
Yeah, and they're exactly that, pennies. Like you buy one for 5 cents, and
It's like a lottery, If you win, you win big,
Yeah.
but most of them are
But
gonna
it's
go
exactly
away
true.
very soon.
That's I've invested in those before.
Penny stocks, that's the thing when you sign up like with Robinhood,
Yeah.
they will give you a free stock.
Yeah.
Usually it's those penny stocks.
Oh yeah, it's a
like,
trash.
I think when
stock.
I sign up for it, they give me like Zynga. It was like $5. I don't even know how much is it now.
I used to work for a guy a long time ago, and a bunch of penny stock companies hired him to. They called him investor relations, but
Yeah.
what happened is he had a big database of wealthy individual investors.
Yeah.
So these penny stocks would hire this guy.
Yeah.
To go out and cold call a bunch of these rich people and say, "Oh, this stock's going to be
So
something
cheap,
big."
yeah.
Right. And, oh, it's cheap, it's going to be huge. So he had this database of rich people. Well, I worked for this guy. I didn't know him very well,
Yeah.
and we hung out in a place like this,
Yeah.
like a nice condominium that he worked in. I go over every morning. Get on the other phone. He'd have like a desk there, and he'd tell me, he goes, "I want you to call these people, and this is the stock we're trying to promote and get funding for, and just say this about it, and then go to the next guy." So I said, "Okay," but while we were doing that, I would buy the stock myself and
Yeah.
not tell him about it.
Yeah.
And this stock, I'd come in and I'd buy it at like 8 cents, and the next day it'd be down to 4 cents. I'd be like, "What the fuck is going on?" And he'd say, "Don't worry about that," but he didn't know I was buying it.
Yeah.
And then one day I snapped. I said, "What the fuck is going on with this stock we're
Yeah.
peddling? I bought it all, and it's going down."
Yeah.
And he goes, "You're not supposed to buy it. Don't you get these guys to
We're
buy
we're selling snake oil.
He'd
Don't
say,
drink
"You
it
never."
yourself.
He says, "Don't ever buy it yourself. You tell me if you're going to buy it." And I was like, "Well, what the hell
Are
are
we just screwing all the
I'm like,
people
"What the
over?
hell are we doing here then?" He goes, "What do you think we're
Make
doing?"
some dough.
Yeah, and I was like maybe 25.
Yeah.
And he was maybe
still
55. He
have
goes,
conscious.
"No, wake up, man.
Yeah,
What we're doing, it's not the right thing."
But now, would you do like?
No,
will you change?
once I found out what he was doing, I
you
pretty
still
much
have that integrity. It didn't go
Yeah.
away.
No, I'm like, well, this is shady, dude. Like, what are we doing? I thought that these were legitimately going to be good companies too. And he's like, "No, man."
We're
He
just
goes,
scamming
he
people,
goes,
man.
it's the pump and dump. Like they
Yeah.
would go up in value.
Yeah.
But then he'd be getting out of them. Mm-hmm. And I would too if I was
It's like a pyramid scheme.
No, they're shady, dude. They're really
But the whole
shady.
industry is a huge pyramid scheme in a way.
Yeah, in a sense. Like, what do you mean, the whole stock market?
Not stock market. That's how like 2018, not 2008 happened. Sort of just fraud after fraud.
Yeah.
You know, people.
But
who are
that's
not-
highly
yeah.
irregular. Like, it's not supposed to happen. Like, the government was sleeping, right? They should have been regulating all of
People
those.
who are not qualified for a home are getting loans so easily.
Like in Canada, that would never happen. In a lot of the other socially democratic countries like Norway, Sweden, the governments would never allow that because they know that someone's going to get fucked in the end. And then the government's the one that has to bail them out.
The thing is, like, I used to work as a realtor. Like, what I've heard is nowadays it's so much harder to get pre-qualified,
Right, it is.
pre-approved for a
Right.
loan. But back in the days, like loan officers, you just have their name card,
Yeah.
and then they don't ask for anything.
Well, what year were you doing that in?
I was doing it from 2015 to
Yeah,
2017.
it was over by then. It was
I
like
know, yeah, it was
2005, 2006.
Yeah,
was
I
way
think
back
I think
then.
the big crash is also 2012. Like from 2007 to 2012, that's when it really crashed. But back in the day, it was so easy to get
for
a
sure.
loan. They don't ask for your income. They don't see nothing.
It
Your
was
pay
called those
stub.
ninja loans, right? No
Yeah.
income, no job.
Stated income. That's a nice way to put it.
Yeah.
But now they ask for your W-2, your 1099, your past 2 years of tax returns, and your your 24-month of reserve in your
Yeah.
bank account, everything. They never. It
Well,
was a
they
new
don't
thing.
they don't want to lose. They don't want you to default anymore. And the
Yeah.
government makes the banks do that too, right?
Yeah, but back in the days when everybody was doing it, they
Yeah.
all like, this is gonna go up. It's gonna be
Yeah,
fine.
yeah.
Somebody's gonna take over. Somebody's gonna keep buying it until it wasn't.
Right.
And
And everything's like that too. Like the stock market can be like that. Anytime anything gets overvalued,
Mm-hmm.
one day someone smart just says, "What the fuck is it worth this for?" And
do
they
you
get
think
out.
the stand-up comedy is getting overvalued as we speak? Are we in a bubble?
Overvalued. Well, it's hard to say because I don't know how you put a price on it, right?
Not price, just there's so many specials.
Yeah,
coming
it's
out.
getting watered down.
Yeah.
Because you look at Netflix. I mean, I only have Netflix, but I know
Yeah.
there's Amazon. I know there's a million
Yeah.
other ones.
Especially Netflix. Netflix is like pushing a lot of
Yeah,
specials
and a
out
lot of
every
those
year.
people suck.
There's a lot of I think there are a lot of like open micer level people are there.
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of
don't know
shitty
open
comics,
micer. I don't think I deserve a special. But a lot of people who are open micers.
There's a lot of people that have them. It's kind of shitty because it's gonna. I mean, it's like anything. You just got to get to a point where you're way better than everybody else. If you're way better than anybody else, it works out.
Yeah.
But if you're in the middle of the pack, you know, you'll probably, you
Like,
know,
what's your thing? You know. Yeah. You gotta
it's-
have a thing.
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, I know people who have Netflix specials that are shitty. They're bad comedians.
I
Like,
don't have to know anybody. I turn on Netflix. I watch it.
I know comedians. I've
most of
seen
them are
comedians
shit.
on there because I did comedy before. And remember, I
Yeah.
told you I did before, and then I quit, and I
So
came
let's
back.
go back to your story. So you're a stock trader. You're like, I don't want to do this anymore. Then what happened? Did you start to do comedy?
No, I went back to electrical.
Oh, okay.
So electrical's always been like my thing to go back to if something else doesn't work because it's always good money.
We're gonna get into the comedy part later, but I'm very interested in your experience of being an electrician. First of all, do you think it's a good option for people who kind of just because this podcast is called Immigrant Survivalcast,
Yeah.
right? You're Canadian, but there are a lot of immigrants who came to this country. And when I first got here, I find it really hard to get a job.
Right.
Because I'm from a freaking university from another country they've never heard of.
Yeah.
My English is good, but they could have hired somebody else who were born here. Like, this is working against us.
Mm-hmm.
So I figure for a lot of immigrants, learning their trade might be a very good idea. And
Yeah.
some trade, like being an electrician, you can make pretty good money.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how much, I'm not asking how much are you making? Like,
Well,
an
so
average
there's
person.
It's like anything. Like I think the wages now might be $35 an hour
Okay.
for someone working for a company
Yeah.
in a union
That's
company.
pretty good. So you're talking about how much?
And you get, like,
70
medical and
grand a
dental.
year?
Yeah, yeah.
70 grand a year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For
What
some-
about your own business? On your own business?
I do better than that. Like, because
Yeah.
well, first off, I mean, I don't know who's going to hear this podcast. Cash.
Yeah.
You want to do a lot of cash, right? I mean, that's a
Yeah.
huge thing
Let's
right
just
there.
put it right there.
That's
Not
a
gonna-
massive
Yeah,
deal.
yeah.
And I mean, I charge just more money. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, if you go onto Google and you call a bunch of contractors up,
Yeah.
I mean, it's more like $100 an hour.
Yeah.
Right? So if I do a job,
Mm-hmm.
if you call me and we don't know each other and you say to me, "Oh, I want to put 10 new lights in
Yeah.
my house," or
Yeah.
"I want to change my panel," the way I personally estimate a job is I'll say, how much are the materials going to cost?
Yeah.
So say the materials are $1,000. Okay. And then I don't add money onto the materials, but
Yeah.
most electricians
Yeah.
do.
They will quote you something higher.
They might give you a 20% markup
Yeah.
on. And then I'll say, okay, it's going to take me, in my mind, I know about how long it's going to take me to do the job. So say I think this is going to take me 10 hours to do.
Yeah.
Well, I want to make 100 an hour. That's what I
Yeah.
expect to make. So
Yeah.
I'm going to say, okay, well, that's 100 an hour. It's going to take me 10 hours.
So
I'm
$2,000.
I'm going to charge this guy $1,000.
Okay.
1,000 for me, 1,000 for the material.
So $2,000.
So
Okay.
2,000. So that's a 10-hour day.
So
Now I only get to keep 1,000 of it, and the other 1,000 is the material.
let's say
cost.
somebody is 5 years in and has his own business and doing not fantastic, but not bad.
Yeah.
Can this person make 100K?
Yeah.
In California?
As long as they're, but again, now that comes down to how much are you advertising? What's
Yeah.
your word of mouth? Your first couple of years, it's hard because no one,
Yeah.
like what you
It's a
just,
business.
what you just explained yourself. Like you're new, no one
Yeah.
knows who you are.
Yeah.
But down the road,
So
or
how-
if you want to put a bunch of money on Yelp, advertise on Yelp, you'll get a flood of phone calls, right? And
But there are a lot of competitions too, so you gotta
there is.
overbid your
So you want to underbid them,
Yeah.
like do it a little bit cheaper. And
Do you dispatch people? Do you have people working for you?
I used to, I don't anymore.
Why?
Because it's hard to find good people.
Oh.
Sometimes I send a guy to a house and he goes up there, he doesn't know what he's doing, he cuts a wire. Right? Now I have to go in there and now I got to go in there and fix his
Wipe
mistake.
his ass.
Right. Or maybe they're rude to the customer, or like it's hard to find good people.
Be racist.
Yeah, they could say something stupid You don't know. The biggest part is that they screw something up in the house, and then I got to go back and fix it.
Jeez. So I'm trying to make it like a life hack kind of format, right? So let's say I'm a guy from some country. I'm here. My English is decent. I figure, to do, of course, skills is always important. But I guess it's not as important as, let's say, you're a writer.
You got to be a good communicator. It's not like being a stand-up comedian or a writer. You just have to basically... you just have to tell them what you're going to do and how much you're going to charge.
And
really.
be look reliable and trustworthy.
There's a ton of like people that come over the southern border, like illegal people that do illegal immigrants.
That's a nice way to put it. Mexicans.
Right. Or Guatemalans or El Salvadorians or Nicaragua. Like there's tons of Central America. And I mean, they do they do almost all the construction.
Yeah.
Fuck you. I never see a white guy on a construction site here. Yeah. I'm the only white guy I ever see doing it.
I like Mexican people. I work with a lot of Mexican contractors when I was a realtor. I have a termite guy, a home inspection guy.
They do all the construction. And those guys don't have great English.
Yeah.
But as long as you tell people, this is what I'm charging, this is what I'm going to do, people don't care if it's broken English as long as they know what's going on.
So how do they guess, let's say I'm thinking about, I want to be an electrician. I don't know how to do it. Do I go to a trade school? How do I get started?
Yep. That's how I did it.
Is a trade school expensive?
No. Well, like I said before, they were subsidizing it, so it was free.
I bet
I don't know if that's the case now. I mean, this was a long time ago.
But we're not talking about college in America, so I assume it's
not university. Like it's not like you're going to Harvard or Stanford.
How long does it take for you to learn everything that you need to start working? And then you have to be apprentice.
That's a different question because what you learn in school isn't what you use day to day.
Yeah.
Like what I use day to day to make money, I could teach somebody in probably a couple months.
Okay.
A smart guy who wanted to learn, I could probably teach them most of it in 2 months.
So what's your advice for somebody who want to start but don't know how to start? Like
I would call
step one
in this country. So in this place, state, I would get someone and tell them to call a bunch of contractors, people like me.
Yeah.
And say,
can I be your assistant?
Yeah. And maybe just
shadow.
What do they call them? What do they call them here? An intern.
Intern. Okay. Do it for free, but just to learn it.
Which nobody wants to work for free, but if you can find the right guy to teach you, then you could learn a lot in a hurry. And
it's real world experience that you can implement right away.
The problem you run into is once it comes to being licensed and bonded and insured, they want you to have the schooling.
Okay, so I guess it's a mixture of you have to go to some kind of school to meet the criteria of getting a license, but then when it comes to execution, you have to just shadow somebody who does it for a long time.
To actually have the skill to do the work by yourself, you just need someone good to teach you.
Okay.
The problem is if you ever want to start your own business. That's when you need all the paper credentials.
Got it.
Right.
Let's say you just want to work for a company. How long does it take from zero to getting somehow established, like make a living? I'm not talking about good money.
Yeah.
A year, if you're really hardworking, or it takes longer than that?
Well, it depends on the company. If you can find someone cool that'll teach you, you could. Yeah, in a year you could be really good.
Okay.
But it's hard to find someone that would be lucky because most companies they're gonna get you to do crappy work. They're like pick up garbage, and they're not gonna maybe show you exactly how to, like the overview of how electricity comes from the street, how it enters into a house, how to ground it, how to run it, all the switches and plugs. Like there's like a big system, like a closed loop system.
Yeah.
You might have a tough time finding someone that's willing to sit down and teach you A to Z.
Yeah.
Because contractors, they're greedy. It's like working at McDonald's. They want to teach you one thing and get you to do that 1,000 times over to make them the most money. To find someone that's cool enough to sit there and teach you everything, to really help you out, it's hard to do that. Like I none of my bosses did that.
Yeah. But how did you get you where you are today? Just
dude, I got fired from so many companies. I probably got fired like 20 times.
Why?
Because I would bug them. I'd say, okay, I know how to do this. Now what's the next thing? Oh, don't worry about that. You just stay. I mean, like, fuck this. Sometimes I'd just quit. Yeah. Then I'd go to another company and somebody else would teach me something different.
Yeah.
And I would learn that.
Yeah.
Then I'd go to a third company and learn some other thing.
Oh my God.
But I would just keep either getting fired or quitting.
Why would they fire you? What's on what
Maybe I
ground?
bugged them too much. I don't want to do this. I already know how to do this.
Yeah.
Or maybe I'd show up late, or maybe one of their like you said, like their bosses. Sometimes the bosses are cranky, and I get sick of listening to them. And
You just have a little the comedian side of you.
yeah, I
creep
say
out.
I'm out of here. I'll find another company.
Fuck you.
See you later. Yeah, totally. I mean, and it's like comedy. It's everything comes down to skill.
Yeah.
Everything comes down to your knowledge and your skill. And I always understood that over time, as long as I become smart and know what I'm doing,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter who likes you.
Yeah.
You know, as long as I'm learning and getting better at what I'm doing, it doesn't matter who likes me, because one day I'll be the one doing it and I'll be competing against them.
I'm a trade person too. My trade is translation. I have a translation company.
Okay.
And I'm doing pretty.
So,
I'm not doing.
so it's the same thing. You
the
have
same
to be
thing.
good at what you're
Yeah.
doing. If you're good at what you're doing, you'll never have to worry about making money.
Like I really think there's no big difference between being a translator versus being an electrician.
No.
You have to have your own clients. You set your own rate. There's no set rate. You can work for a company, but
It's like being a dentist or a
I own my
lawyer
own
or
company.
anything.
Yeah.
You got to build your clientele of people
And
up.
you can make pretty decent money,
Yeah, yeah.
doing trade work like that.
Yeah.
And I mean, I have the advantage of being Chinese and I speak both languages. That's it. That's
Yeah.
the only thing I do. It's just simple as that.
Yeah.
You know, and I didn't go to. I mean, I'm majoring in history. I didn't go to.
But that's got nothing to do with translating.
No, you learn. You can learn.
Would you
language
go
by
back
yourself.
and do the history again if you could?
I
or
was
would you
assigned. I was
omit it?
assigned to majoring in history. In China, sometimes you don't have a choice.
Oh, they tell you what to study?
Yeah, when your score is not high. So this is how Chinese college entrance system works.
Okay.
So you get a score like Chinese SAT, right?
Yeah.
We call it.
This is in
Gaokao.
high school.
Yeah, like last year of high school.
Yeah.
And you take it once a year, and not like SAT can take multiple times a year. Once a year, and that score is going to determine. That's the only determination. Like element to factor to determine if you're gonna get to a college or not, and then you apply for different colleges. Of course, there are good ones like Chinese Harvard,
Yeah.
and there are shitty ones like community college, right? Sort of like that.
It all comes down to that number.
But you have to estimate based on past 5 years data, this score, what kind of college can I get into? You don't know, and there's no application package, just that score. Like you do the math to see, okay, last year this guy has this score, he got into this college, and mine is 20 more than his, so maybe I can get in.
Sure.
So it's all guesswork, right? Once you get into the university, you pick a major, but a lot of people, they want to do the popular major.
Yeah.
Like, for some reason, English and Chinese are pretty popular majors,
Right.
and nobody want to do history or propaganda.
Okay.
There's a major Marxism propaganda.
Yeah.
So usually, so I got into the university I applied to, but my score isn't high enough to
Right.
go into the major that I wanted to do.
Sure.
Which is English, which is not that good of a choice looking back either.
Right.
So they assigned me to history. So I had to study history. Otherwise, I had no college to go to.
Okay.
So that's
Wow.
yeah. So I learned everything just by my. That's the thing about like English. Like you don't even have to tag along anything. You know, you just.
What kind of history do you learn? Like world
It's
history
like
or
in undergrad, you
different
just,
countries?
Just everything, Chinese history and world history.
World
you
history.
learn like 20 different, classes and courses.
Right.
And then when you go to graduate school, which I didn't go to, thank God.
But
I
it's a
think
lot of money, right, to go?
No, in China, tuition is really cheap. I paid $400 a year for my college. Everything without like,
Okay,
there's
well,
no
that's
aid.
great.
This is just full price, out of pocket. Yeah.
Okay, but when you come out of like as you're taking the history courses,
Yeah.
or do you think to yourself, what am I going to do with this later?
No, I know I don't want to do it, but I need a college degree, whatever the major is.
So people just want the degree just to feel like
yeah, otherwise, if
you
I
need
don't,
some chance in life kind of thing?
listen, I don't want to have a college degree in the first place because none of the work I got or money I make is coming from a degree.
Right.
So, but if I don't get a degree, my parents are gonna kill me.
So it's kind of a cultural thing.
Yeah, it is a culture.
If you don't have a degree, you're like some heroin addict in the bushes or something. right?
I'm actually an odd case because I started to work at the second year of my college.
Yeah.
I flew to Beijing from my another city. My
Yeah.
college is in the city called Harbin, and it's a 10-hour train. to Beijing.
Right.
And I started to work for like Western media outlets like CNBC.
Okay.
They need a translator / news producer.
Yeah.
So I just started to work there, and they know I didn't have a college degree. They thought I was a college dropout.
Yeah.
And I didn't explain myself either.
Yeah.
But they don't care. They were
Yeah,
like,
they don't care. They just want something done.
can you get it done? And
Yeah.
I got things done.
Yeah.
That's always been the case for me. And I never worked like any corporate job. I guess it's a different case. If you want to get into like a big corporation, they will look at your qualifications, your education history. But for me, it's just never a thing. Like, I think I waste time in college.
Yeah, maybe. But like you said, if it's kind of like the culture, it's pretty hard, especially when you're that young. You're not going to say fuck you. You're going to just go along with it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? everyone does. There's not many people that will.
But like the more I get into it, the more I feel like college for me is a waste of time.
Yeah, maybe. But I mean, it's done now, and it's, at the time you felt pressure to do it.
Because I didn't get to the college I wanted to go into. In the beginning, when I was 18, I wanted to get into a graduate school. That's like a really good one.
Yeah.
But then ever since I started to work, and I
So
see
what
how
did you?
awesome,
Sorry, what did you want to do? What did you want to do when you were younger?
I wanted to be a translator, and then.
So you did that anyway.
Yeah, but my score is not high enough to get into a very good foreign language. We have foreign language school that specializes in like translation. It's very prestigious. So I said, okay, I can't get into this school now, but I want to get into the graduate school that you take another test 4 years later, right?
Yeah.
But then since I started to work for all the big, media outlets,
right,
my colleagues are people who are 10 years older than me, who are from the best college in China.
So in a way, you shortcutted everybody.
And I'm from a shitty college, and I'm doing the same work, and I'm not.
These guys probably hated you.
Yeah, they hated me. You know why?
Well, you're younger and you didn't have to go to school as
my
long.
employer are Americans, Frenchmen, Britishmen. They don't know the difference of a good school and bad school.
Well,
they
exactly,
only want to know if you can get it done.
Yeah.
So for me, there's no hierarchy in their eyes,
That's
but there
funny.
is a hierarchy in reality.
Yeah.
So as I'm making pretty good money in Chinese standard back then. I'm like, I don't want to go to graduate school.
Well, that's funny.
This
so
is awesome.
really, you had the last laugh. Really, right? You had the last laugh on them because you didn't have to go as long or as difficult a school, and you ended up coming out ahead of them.
Yeah,
and younger too.
Yeah.
Right?
I started to work when I was 20.
Yeah,
and
that's
then
great.
I'm 27 years old now,
Yeah.
and I'm doing comedy in English, so I guess that's something.
How many of those guys are doing that? You know what I mean?
No, those
people
guys,
you went to that.
They're having a good life,
Yeah.
They're having a good life.
But
But
I
like
mean-
I said, you don't have to go to college, but sometimes a trade is a really, really good
Yeah, I
option.
don't regret it. I don't regret it now. Like looking back on it, knowing everything I know.
You don't have to work overtime. You set your own hours, sort of.
Well, the problem with corporations and big companies is, dude, they'll
punch
as soon
in
as
every day.
they'll can you as second they can. Like because doing as somebody who trades in stocks.
Yeah.
I mean, stocks are corporations, right?
Yeah.
And when you all that those corporations care about is that quarter.
Yeah.
How profitable they are that quarter, because that's what dictates the stock price a lot of times. And somebody could work for them for 30 years, but the minute they have a chance to can somebody, that person's gone.
You are nothing but a gear.
Yeah, exactly.
You think you throw your heart and soul into this place.
No,
to
they
get,
don't care.
They don't care.
You're
It's all
gone as fast as you
baby,
can.
it's capitalism. Okay, it's capitalism, and they don't care. Capitalism doesn't care. It's not like I don't think they're evil in a sense, because evil meaning they're malicious, on purpose.
Well, they're just ambivalent.
Yeah,
Right.
it's oblivious. It's just how the system works.
Yeah.
It's not like they want to fuck you over.
But in the
personally.
but up until a few years back, people kind of thought, well, I mean, and this is true, 20, 30 years ago, 40, like if you worked for a company, that company would do everything to keep you employed.
Yeah.
And then maybe in the 80s, I'm not sure the timeline, it started just getting ruthless, and these corporations are like, good to see you around. And then that's completely how it is now. But you get a lot of younger people, they want to work for. I have a really good friend of mine, one of my best friends. He worked for Amazon.
Yeah.
So he had a really good job.
Software engineer?
No, he had it was marketing.
Okay.
And he had a really good
Very
job in
disposable
Canada.
position, by the way.
Yeah. and he had a really good job in Canada, and he said they offered him a job at Amazon. He goes,
Seattle?
"Oh, I want to take it." So they moved down to Seattle, him and his wife and kids. And he did 2 years there.
Yeah.
And he said, "It's fucking terrible."
Yeah.
He goes, "They're so he says they're so competitive and they
Yeah.
drive their and he said almost everyone he worked with was like young, like college kids. They came out of like Harvard and these blue chip schools, but they would work them to death. And then every week they had to sit around at like a table
Yeah.
and critique all their coworkers.
Oh, fuck.
And if you didn't say something
That's
negative
brutal.
about the coworker, they'd can you.
Really?
Yep.
What the fuck is
They
that?
want everyone fighting against everybody else. They want everyone competing against everybody else. And he said, he was older. He was probably 38, 39. He goes, this
Yeah.
is fucking stupid. He goes, I'm out of here. And he quit and went back to Canada. But everyone he worked with was like, 27, 28. And they were still young enough.
Wait until you're 40,
Right.
45.
But they were still young enough that they kind of bought into that corporate culture.
So,
And
yeah, I'm just gonna...
they thought, I'm going to be huge one day. But he was just old enough that he kind of saw the bigger picture. And he goes, these guys
It's
are going to
not
get rid
worth
of
it.
everyone anytime they can. And he kind of got out before they got rid of him. But
And God forbid something happens when you get older, when you're 40-something. It's time to lay you off.
oh yeah,
You're going to be on the layoff list once you're,
they
you're
don't
no
want
longer
to deal
young.
with there's workers' compensation. Their compensation rates go up when you get older and stuff too. So you become more expensive to that company to be employed.
They're
So they'll get rid of you.
I either hire this
They'll get rid of some
20-something,
22-year-old or 25-year-old. Yeah, so.
and then you get laid off. Then what happens? You have a wife, you have a kid,
Yeah,
you have a
you're older.
mortgage.
If you haven't saved enough
you have
money up,
cars.
if you haven't saved enough money, and you probably haven't if you got a family. So.
I think anybody, I keep advocating against corporations, but even if you have a corporate job, I think it's wise to have a side hustle or some plan B or some
you just have
savings.
to be good at something. You have to have something you're good at where you can go in and do it on your own.
You can't be naive and think your corporate job will last forever.
no, God,
Don't
no.
ever put your life in the hands of others.
It's very true. It's very
You know?
true. And that's what I'm saying. Like with your translating, like as long as you're good at it, you can always have your own business. You can always
I have multiple
advertise.
clients. I have a lot of clients.
And
you know?
you'll that'll never go away as long as your business, as long as you keep doing a good job with your business and getting. I don't know if you get Yelp reviews or word of mouth. I don't know how
we have
your
our own like.
I don't know
websites
how
and
your
stuff.
business works, but as long as you keep going that way, you'll never have trouble. You know what I mean? Because it's you. You're the one making it or breaking it.
And it's kind of good because same for you, electrician, or same for me as a translator, or you're a plumber, or you are whatever it is, right? The older you are, the more experienced you are, the more contacts you have.
Yeah.
So compare with people who work corporate jobs. As they grow older, if they don't become like management, they become disposable.
Yeah.
But for people like us, if we play our cards right, as we grow older, we actually are better off,
Right.
Because we have more resources to work with now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's exactly true.
Like same for realtors. There are real estate agents who make millions of dollars a year.
There's some the ones that have the teams underneath them and the money to advertise.
And then their past clients, because people keep buying houses, selling houses. You're not going to only buy one house.
Yeah.
And then they keep going back to them.
Yeah, it's a competitive industry, but if you
know?
can be on top of it, then
Yeah.
it's crazy good money.
Yeah.
But it's expensive. When you first start, it's expensive, right? Because you have so much overhead.
Oh, yeah. It's
so super competitive. So it's
very, I don't think it's a very good occupation to get into because I think it's going to die out. But I think if you want to get into it, my best advice is to team up with like a very seasoned, sales realtor.
and then you're like part of their team, kind of.
Yeah,
right?
become his buyer's agent because nobody want to be a buyer's agent because it takes so much time and getting actually less.
Yeah.
Listing agent, it's actually who makes the most money. So team up with a listing agent and do his buyers. That's my advice. But don't get into it. I don't think it's
So
a good...
you're out of it now.
I'm out of it. I'm out of it for a while.
How many years did you do it for, from start to finish?
About 2 years.
Okay.
About 2 years.
So you got a pretty good idea pretty quickly.
pretty quickly.
And you're like, get me the fuck out of here.
The thing is,
This
I was a journalist in China, and then when I got here, I made a mistake of thinking I'm just gonna apply for journalism jobs because I was a journalist. This is what I do, and nobody want to hire me because second language. Because people write better than me. Right, who are American born or Canadians, even I can't even compete with Canadians, right? You're English.
What were you writing? Like when you're a journalist, like pieces for
I'm a news producer,
internet?
so I sometimes I write, but I usually what I do is I book interviews. I plan the trips, I do the transcription, I translate everything. It's like a news producer more than yeah. And then usually I work with whoever. Like I work with this reporter from The Guardian, right?
Okay.
He will write, but we will just do the interview together.
Yeah.
Sometimes I would do the interview and then do the transcription, and he would put together as an article. That's how
So you kind of team up and do it in pieces.
Yeah, but it works perfectly in China because I'm the Chinese local person. Then this person writes, it's from this country, who writes knows what tone, what kind of style do they need. But once I got here, all my advantages just gone because I'm just another immigrant who speaks not broken English, but not perfect English, right? Perfect native speaker level English. Yeah. So I couldn't find a job. That's why I need money fast. I'm like, what can I do?
I mean, it would be like
become a realtor.
yeah. It's a tough gig.
It's really tough. And
the thing is it looks like the thing with realty is it looks like a glamorous lifestyle from the outside. So a lot of people want to get into it.
I don't think it's glamorous. I don't think people respect realtors.
Well,
people don't respect realtors and strippers.
No.
Nobody want to be.
Have you ever seen that TV show on Netflix?
Which TV show?
It's about those it's all these really hot realtor girls. Selling Sunset.
Okay, I mean, there are a lot of house flipping shows and
No, it's not a house flipping show. It's all about
real estate agents.
It's about these 5 real estate agents. They're down on Sunset, and they're all these really good looking girls. And then there's these 2 guys who own the realtor, this real estate company. These 2 bald brothers, and
2 bald brothers.
Yeah, these 2 they're twins. I don't know. They're probably
property brothers.
Maybe
they're not bald.
No, these guys are bald. It's unmistakable.
So they're not.
I know what bald people look like, and they're both bald. And I don't know, but it was this TV show on Netflix. It had 1 season, and they made it look glamorous. Of course, that's TV and it's full of shit. But the problem is you'll get a bunch of young people seeing that show and thinking, oh, wow, look at this. And
I don't think people respect realtors.
They'll try to do it.
They're like, you're nothing but a door opener.
Well, because there's so many, there's so many of them.
Yeah, I think internet is going to replace.
I think you're right. I'm again, like what we said earlier, I'm surprised that there's any life in that industry.
Surprisingly, with automation and internet, a lot of occupations is going to go away, right? So electrician is not one of them.
No, I know.
And plumber. I keep talking about plumber, but I'm not joking.
No,
you need somebody to go to your house and get the shit done. You need a person to actually
do it. And critical thinking and look at that's where the leak is. Yeah. It's not down here, it's up there. Yeah. And then you need someone to fix it. So,
So, I support the president of Canada, Andrew Yang, and he was talking about automation replacing, millions of jobs.
It's going to be wild. You think 20, 30 more years. Because every year there's less and less employment because there's more and more automation. Yeah. But you got to think, people need something to do. People need a way to make money.
Yes, true.
So,
and also need something to do, just not to sit around.
That's true. It's going to get, they're going to, one day they're going to need to do a universal, what do you call that?
Universal basic income. Yeah. That's what he advocates.
You have to, because there's no other way. That or everybody starts killing each other in the streets. I'm serious. It's totally the truth, right? Because 1, people need something to do, like you just said. But 2, people have to make money. They have to survive.
I know.
Right?
That's why this podcast is called Immigrant Survivalcast.
No,
survive first, then chase your dream. Okay? Don't buy into the first world bullshit. No, survive first, then chase your dream.
Yeah, it's
always brutal to see my fellow comedians who live near cars and stuff.
Oh yeah, I feel.
I'm not looking down on them. I just feel bad for them, and I feel like.
Well, it's delusion too, though, right?
Why can't they just get a job at McDonald's and do the same thing at the same time?
Comedians are weirdos, though. Well, no, they are, because most comedians think they're these tortured artists, like
Yeah.
fucking geniuses. Like, no, you're not. You're writing jokes, man. Like when comedians say, "Oh, I can't have a day job; it'll interfere with my," like, no, that's totally wrong. It's the opposite. The more of a normal, fulfilling life you have, the more material comes your way. Like when you're sitting there in a coffee shop all day trying to write, like, fuck, nothing can happen to you
It's
like
interesting
that.
you brought that up because you were staring at my poster. You probably can't see it from the screen. It's like above the David Bowie one. It's Sonic Youth.
Sonic Youth.
STP. It's weird that you recognize STP as Stone. So you know all the grunge bands.
Yeah, I mean, because when
Do you know Mad Season?
No, I don't.
Okay, so Mad Season is, you know, Alice in Chains, right?
Yeah.
Alice in Chains, the members of Alice in Chains and Pearl Jam and Screaming Trees, they got together and formed a band called Mad Season. They have one album.
It's like a super group.
The lead singer is
kind of-
Lane Stanley, the lead singer of Alice in... Actually, that's going to be my recommendation of today's last segment. It's called Something Awesome. Is we asked the guest to recommend something.
Yeah.
Either music or food or whatever to recommend. And my
Yeah.
recommendation this week is this album called Above by the super group Mad Season. And the
Okay.
lead singer is Lane Stanley from Alice in Chains. And their most famous song is called River of Deceit. It's a beautiful, beautiful song. It's not a rock song. And then the first line is, "My pain is self-chosen." So
Right.
I think that exactly fits what you just said.
Yeah,
a
it's
lot
true.
of tortured artists, not just comedians, just tortured
Yeah.
musicians who are, I'm not going to say all of them, but a lot of the times your pain is self-chosen.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
They see themselves as that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you know, when you're a kid, like you're a jock or
Yeah.
you're, like you kind of have an image of what you think you are or what other people think you are. Mm-hmm. But that's what those people are like, that artistic people. Like, oh, this is what I am. It doesn't, you can be anything you want. You don't have to be that. Like it doesn't help your comedy to live in a car, man. It doesn't help your comedy to
It's nice to have running water and a roof above
I mean,
your
you
head.
can think, you got food in your stomach. Like, you don't have to worry every 10 minutes. Like, there's nothing that...
You need some struggle, that's true. But
You need some, but that fuck
not
living in a car, that's a
manufactured
little much.
structures,
Like,
you
when
know?
you're wrestling homeless guys in the middle of the night, like, that's too much.
I'm not trying to be insensitive. Unless something really traumatic happened in your life or some unforeseeable reasons, if you are not disabled or have mental disease, or you're a young person, guy, there's in America, there's ways to not live in your car.
Oh, yeah.
That's not the only option. You can get any job and have a shitty place to stay, but at least some place to stay. And
Comedy's an interesting one because I think there's a lot of people that come out and they don't know how hard it is and how competitive it is.
I think a lot of
And they think that they're going to come out and be like a star.
I think after this episode, a lot of comedian friends who live in their car who I don't know is gonna unfriend me
Not
on
wanna
social
talk to
media.
you.
It's like shit talking.
You'll know.
Yeah. Oh, so we're about to go to an end, but like I said, last segment, something awesome. Do you have anything to recommend?
Anything to recommend?
Can be food, anything. Movie,
This is. I'm going to tie this into what we were talking about with the homeless comedians.
It's comedians.
Or the car vehicle comedians.
Comedians in
living
cars.
in vans. And this is not. I go to El Pollo Loco every day, and I always eat. They have a tortilla soup there.
Is it good?
Super good.
Oh.
And it's like $5.
El Pollo
Maybe it's
Loco.
$6. And
I
you
like their
can
chicken, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. And really good soup. Maybe $6, and you could eat one of those a day, and you'd be in the best shape you'll ever be in. And you could do it for almost no money.
How much is it again?
$6.
$6.
And they give you this big tub of tortilla soup.
Okay.
Super good.
Yeah.
Super filling, healthy.
Yeah.
So for any of these homeless or artistic people that want to live in their vans, they can go to El Pollo Loco, and for $6 a day, they'll be healthy and they'll eat really good soup. And that's my recommendation.
Save money.
And save money, all of it.
It's very useful.
Yeah.
It's very, very useful.
I just thought of that because we were talking about the starving artists.
I think I need to bring you back. I think there are a lot of things we haven't talked about.
There's
but
a lot.
Thank you
We
so
could do
much
this
for
forever.
being here today, Cory.
Absolutely.
And sorry
This has
about
been-
the Today's the lightest, a bit dramatic. 'Cause,
No, this has been fun. This has
Yeah?
been an
All
experience.
right.
I really have to go pee.
That's today's show. Okay.
Thank you.
All right.
Oh my goodness.